Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be talking about and having a look at the Canon 1.4 adapter. Now I have done a video already, which I'll link down below, where I talk more about the 2x adapter and what I found with that, the sort of image quality you can expect running on the 500mm, then at 1000mm at f8, and also the f2.8 300mm, obviously 600mm. I've got a separate video about how well that works with a 300mm to show it basically being a handhold 600mm, which is great. But I'll link both of those down the bottom. But today, yeah, we're focusing on the 1.4. Now I got this because after getting the 200 to 400mm f4, my 500mm was becoming a little bit redundant. So I was like, well, if I get one of these, I can put it onto the 500mm and it becomes a 700mm. So I've been using it like that. I've got some images to show you from there. I also just came back from a trip yesterday where I was using it on the 300mm, so making that pretty much a 400mm hand-holdable lens. So we'll look at both of those image sets from the 300mm and the 500mm. We'll look at the quality, and then afterwards we'll discuss is it worth getting one of these if you have a prime, or should you be looking more at a zoom lens and just or just not using these at all and cropping in instead. So let's look at these images first and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the first image we're going to look at here, the first two images actually we're going to look at here, are both shot with a 300mm on the converter with the 1D X Mark II. So this is Inca, this is a black jaguar from Chester Zoo, walking through the undergrowth. Really harsh lighting when I shot this, but you can see focus on the eyes, nice and sharp. This has actually got a slight crop as well, and completely usable image sharpness wise, so no issues there at all, and super happy with the outcome of that image. Now I've included this image here because this is actually shot at really low light. This is a very darkened room with birds free flight. This one here is a waterfall behind. You see a little bit of a rain droplet on the left below the top branch. But yeah, it just shows you that even in low light you can still use these adapters and still get a very sharp usable image. So I don't think at all, with 300mm especially, there's an issue with using these adapters and this setup. Again, it's the 1D X Mark II, so it's not even a modern piece of equipment, and you still get a very usable image from it. Now switching to the 500mm with the converts, this is at 700mm, a polar bear here walking towards me, say in focus, nice and sharp where it needs to be, some blurring where it should be as well. This is now going to be my go-to setup. Again, this is on the 1D X Mark II, 500mm though this time with the converter, and the 700mm f5.6 is by far going to be my go-to on that lens now, I think, just because you're still getting the image quality, just pushing yourself ever so more close. And the only way to get this sort of focal distance on a prime lens is to spend £6,000, £7,000, something £8,000 on the 800mm 5.6 second hand, but with a £2,000 500mm and a £150 adapter, you're almost at that same focal length and at the same aperture. So it's very useful. At some point I do want to get that 800mm to try it out, but for now this is a great alternative, I think, to that setup. And the final image here we're going to say again is on the 700mm, which equivalates on the 500 with the adapter. This is of an Arctic fox, standing by the waterside. Again, nice usable clear image. You can see what it is. It's nice and sharp on the edges there, and yeah, nice colours still. Really very usable image, and no issues at all from what I can see using the adapters with these big prime lenses. So they're the images I've got from this converter with the two big lenses I own, the big 500mm and the 300mm there. So as you can see, in my opinion, you don't lose a huge amount of quality. There's still very sharp images, obviously giving it a slight unfair advantage having it on the 300mm f2.8, which is very famed for one of their sharpest lenses, but that's the sort of lens you're going to use these adapters on. They are incredibly useful. If I'm going to a zoo and I just want to take the primes, I'll always now take the 1.4. I'll probably leave it on something like the 500mm, just so I've got that 700mm reach if I need it. I can always flick it off if I want to come closer, or if I want something in between, I can always flick it onto the 300mm and use that instead. The 200-400 is still a very useful lens and a versatile lens, as it were, and I do use that quite a lot now as my main kind of go-to lens. If I only want to take one lens somewhere, I'll just take that 200-400 with the inbuilt converter and use that for pretty much everything. But for some things like motorsport, birds in flight, I use the longer lenses quite a lot for zoos, just so you can kind of crop into animals a little bit further away. But yeah, as you can see from the images, there's no loss of quality really noticeably anyway that would involve me going not use this and I'd rather crop in instead. I could happily, to be honest with you, use this with either one of those two lenses and also crop in. So don't be scared to use these. There's a lot of people online say you should never use a converter, as long as you make sure you keep them clean. Also, when you put them on, turn your camera off so you don't accidentally hit the shutter button, which can encourage dirt to get onto the shutter itself. Then put the adapter on, then turn your camera back on, and you should have no issues whatsoever. But yeah, super happy I got this. I only had it 2 times before, and that was obviously getting me quite a long reach that potentially, especially on the 500mm, you just don't really need in the UK anyway. But it was quite useful on the 300mm if I just wanted a hand holdable 600mm. But having this now, this will probably live 90% of its time on the 500mm, and then I'll occasionally use it on the 300mm just because I've seen how good the image quality is that you can get from this setup. So you let me know in the comments if you use the 1.4, even the 2x adapter. Let me know how you feel about them. Do you see a noticeable difference on lenses that you've used? Maybe if you're using the 400DO, not quite a sharper lens as the 300mm, and you're using the converter, you seeing a loss in quality? Just let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see anything else, obviously I'm going to link a few videos down below which are relevant to this. There are also another 90 videos on my channel at the moment, but if there's something you've not seen and you want to know about, by all means put that in the comments too. I am more of a Canon channel. Some people have asked me about Nikons and stuff like that. I don't use anything but Canon. I've occasionally used and borrowed some friends' equipment with like Nikon and Sony, but only for a couple of shots, not something I can really personally put a review on and sort of recommendations on, because it's just not the brand that I use. Mine is purely Canon at the moment. So if you want to know anything Canon, or you want to see something review wise on that front, just put it down in the comments, and it gives me ideas of what content you guys actually want to see, and that will help me then create that content moving forward for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, comment and like, and I will catch you guys later on for more content. See you soon. Goodbye.